roofers, and welcome to Roofer Growth Hacks, the podcast that's dedicated to highlighting those in the roofing industry, learning how they overcame growth challenges with creative growth hacks, and connecting them with others in the roofing industry. I'm your host, Chris Hunter, founder and chief marketing officer of roofingsites.com. I'm also the author of The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. Well, I got a little story for you. Les O'Hara is a serial entrepreneur with roots in the roofing and construction industry. Les took over his dad's roofing business right out of college and helped to grow it into a multi-million-dollar machine. He's now a business coach teaching roofing company owners how to do exactly what he did and build those systems for growth. So be sure to listen up as Les shares some awesome growth hacks. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Les. I really appreciate you coming on to the Roofer Growth Hacks podcast.
Chris, honored to be on here and to meet you and just be a part of this great podcast.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and kick this off. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your entrepreneurial journey? Where did you start? Where are you now?
Well, it all starts with my father, a police lieutenant in Chicago. As I was growing up, he would always have a roofing company of some sort as his moonlighting gig, his side gig, that would always sponsor my sports teams, baseball, football, and whatnot. When I went off to college, he retired and he started doing it full time. Okay. So the intersection of him growing it to about 600,000 of sales with no insurance, not paying taxes, no CRM, to me, just 1 year out of college, new baby, selling life insurance and running out of money, said, "Hey, Dad, can I come and work for the business? I need to save up some money so I could go back to Minnesota." Yeah. So here I am, 30 plus years later, I'm still here in Chicago.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and I read that you have several businesses now.
Yeah. So taking over that family roofing business, well, I made every mistake in the book.
Yeah.
Because neither me or my dad knew business, but we knew people skills. And I think that really helped us scale. But then everything started falling apart. So it wasn't probably 5 years into the journey when we were doing about 6 million of sales that I realized I need to find a mentor or someone that could teach me the building blocks of the business.
Right.
So growing up in sports, I was looking back on it now, I'm really surprised that I didn't find a coach or a mentor sooner. But immediately when I did, I was put on a new trajectory. And so was able to get that business stabilized and comfortable for all the parties. But then I get bored, I realize. And so I'm a serial entrepreneur. Yeah. So it was like, okay, we started another roofing business. I started buying roofing businesses that were small guys going out of sale. I bought a masonry company. A friend of mine started a national franchise of air duct cleaning. And he was making as much money as I was, doing 10 times in sales. So I said, I'll take Chicago from you. Yeah. So I did that. And I'm great at starting, just not once it gets to the management and the day-to-day, then I've realized you need to put in systems, process, and people and let them run it. And then I go on and, do what I'm passionate about.
Absolutely love that. Now you're a business coach. How are you helping? Who are you helping, first of all? And how are you helping them?
So it was about 8 years ago now when I had sold my roofing business to my longtime general manager, which, interesting side note, it's now one of the top 20 largest roofing companies in the country. It's called O'Hara Roofing. And I'm very proud of, him able to take the family business and just unbelievably turn that into such a success. But he was my general manager. I sold that business and I have 4 sons. And so I was coaching football and they were all into sports. And I said to myself, in our area, there was no sports training around here. I was driving crazy, me and my wife, all over, Chicago metro area. So my serial entrepreneur brain said, I'm going to open up a sports training facility. And we did. 22,000 square feet, unbelievable weight room, turf, running track, batting cages, basketball court.
Super cool.
Yeah. So I really dug my heels in and said, this is how we're going to take this nationally. And that's one of my biggest failures. I could not figure out that business. It's totally separate from construction, contracting, it's memberships, it's anyhow. What I did come out of there with, Chris, knowing that I'm one, great at coaching. I had all of these former GMs and other people in the trades that were coming to me for advice on how to run their businesses. I'm curious, is there a coaching business? Can I turn this into a coaching business? And I finally got smart, right? I hired a mentor, a coach that had a program, how to be a coach,
Yeah.
and I bought that program.
Yeah.
Within 30, 60 days, I had ads up on Facebook. And I was talking to, at that time, it was roofing companies across the country. And these guys resonated with me because I had a track record and they were in the sweet spot. So then I just realized what I can combine my strengths. I have a skill set and a proven track record, and I can get paid for it. So now I get to coach contractors all over the country in basically the blocking and tackling of running one of these businesses.
Yeah.
And nothing better in the world.
That's awesome. Love that. And I love that entrepreneurial journey and unfortunately the failure. So when you say it's a failure, did you sell that off or did you get, what happened with that business?
Walked away and handed it over to the other vendors that were the baseball guys, the trap guys. And just learned my lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. Stick with what you know, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's your ideal customer or client? Not sure what you call them as a coach, but how do you help them?
So we have 3 avatars. That contractor that is just starting out and really has no idea, we're able to build that quick, 6 systems that he needs to do, get his QuickBooks dialed in. We're really numbers focused, and get his branding on par so that he can start growing. So we can hit a home run for them. That's almost cookie cutter for us because it's so easy to help a guy like that that's doing 500 to just getting over $1 million. Then there's that sweet spot of, let's say 2 million to 4 million. So they need more systems and the numbers are getting away from them. And you now need a steady source of leads and their sales management and proposals. So those are the next avatar where we're really going to come in, and it's more intensive one-on-one coaching, and it's bringing in strategic vendors like yourself to help with SEO and help with websites. And then the third is a company that's doing 10 million plus, sometimes 20 million, where they've done everything right, but they need a fractional CFO or they need a fractional CMO to take all of their marketing strategy and all of their marketing assets and get that dialed in. And then also the financials, get all of the KPIs reporting properly, cash flow forecasting systems, working with banks on the necessary line of credits. I say any contractor we can help, but those 3 special pain points for those is where we can really hit a home run.
Love that. Love that. And a lot of people that I work with are kind of in that sweet spot there. Some of them are in the $1 million to $2 million range. So that's pretty cool. And that's, you're 100% spot on. They've got to have systems, right? They've got to get their leads in first and foremost, and they've got to get sales working, right? And more importantly, getting a sales team, I think,
Sales team. And a lot of it is developing the owner into a CEO and teaching them, what's involved. They can't be doing everything now. And they need to start delegating to elevate is what we call it.
Yeah. Love that. Let's say that you're in that number 1 slot, right? You're right at $1 million and you really want to get to that $2 million spot. What's the biggest thing in your mind that they need to do shifting from one to the other?
To me, it's knowing your numbers like the back of your hand. So you need to know, and you know this better than anyone, one of the key components is what are you spending on marketing and advertising and what's your ROI on that? And can that be a true gas pedal for the business? So dialing that in, you need to know what your gross profit is and where is that labor, material, the other job costs, where are they going askew? So we could dial in that. And then your overhead, knowing what that number is so that your pricing and your future estimating is going to be the driver of future growth. So when we spend so much time on just even organizing their chart of accounts so that when they look at the report, it's starting to make more sense and it's in buckets that they could be making more strategic decisions.
Gotcha.
So at that level, they're running this airplane without any gauges, really.
Yeah.
They're just looking at the checking account. Do I have money in the checking account? And they're not seeing 12 weeks out in advance.
Sure. And that's a hard thing to do if you're not looking and have your KPIs like you just mentioned, in front of you and easy to see and easy to get at. Yeah, for sure. So what advice would you give to that company owner then that wants to get to that level? I mean, we went over the KPIs, but what else? Is there anything else that you would tell them?
Well, when I was thinking about that question, I was thinking the easy answer now that I'm 30 plus years in here is find a mentor.
Yeah.
It could be a fellow roofing contractor that is a little bit just far ahead of you. And that's what I realized. Another guy that's just maybe another $1 million ahead of you can be a wealth of resource for you. There's so many great coaches in the space. You had on your podcast Paul Sanneman, who we talked about. There's so many great coaches, Jim Johnson and all these guys, Tom Reber. You just got to find the coach that resonates with you, that, has some good values, same values as you. And then if you do that, that's going to be the best advice I could ever give you, because they're going to see what you're not seeing, and they're going to help you avoid some of these, roadblocks that you're going to encounter when we're running these businesses. I have a coach to this day. I'm spending thousands and thousands of dollars a month on coaching, and all great athletes have them. All great business owners have a coach.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Tiger Woods still has a coach, right? He's still being coached. And he's the greatest of all time in golfing, so wouldn't it make sense for us as business owners to also have someone coaching us, someone from the outside that's been there, done that, right? And knows what the pitfalls are. I think it's huge. I know that I've got a business coach and I highly, highly recommend that too.
Well, a lot of people think nowadays, hey, I'll just jump on YouTube or I'll have ChatGPT and I'll have them write me a proposal, or I'll email, or man, our business is way too difficult. You got to open up this hood. It's like you need a mechanic. Well, in business, if you want to run it really efficiently and intelligently, you need a great coach. And it might take you, some of the people that I work with, I'm the third or fourth coach that they've tried, but you need to get out there, get out of your comfort zone, and have someone push you to the next level.
Absolutely. What do you think about accountability groups? Do you recommend those?
That was one of my success stories of when things started turning for me. Is I remembered when I was in life insurance, there was a group called Christian Businessmen's Forum that would meet every week to do a Bible study. And they evolved to have a group of just Christian business owners that would meet once a month, and that you would be held accountable to your financials, how you're stewarding your money, and how you're managing the business to honor God. And the minute that I joined that group, things turned around for me. So I love that accountability. Where can you find that? Peer groups, stay off of Facebook and find a great group. They're out there.
Yeah. Like-minded people and people that are in roughly your same revenue, right? Because then you can hold each other accountable to get to that next level to scale your company.
What comes to mind for me is Breakthrough Academy does an incredible job. Many of my coaching clients, they would be doing Breakthrough Academy along with my coaching. They've mastered that peer model of grouping you with a couple of equal owners and having you all work together at one time.
Love that. Yeah. And what's interesting is that I had been in business for, I don't know, about 10, 15 years, right? Myself as an agency owner, right? As a marketing agency owner, and had no idea of that concept. And my current business partner, when we first went into business together, he's like, hey, are you part of a peer group or accountability group? And I'm like, what is that? So yeah, we found something and it's worked tremendously for us. So I'd highly recommend that. That's pretty cool. All right. So what are some common mistakes that you see roofing businesses make? How can they avoid those?
Common mistakes, if we kept on, each category, there's probably a common mistake, but I think the one that is going to be the most impactful for the survivability of the business
Mhm.
would be not forecasting their cash flow.
Okay.
So that's almost the first thing that we dig in is to identify where the money's coming in and then projecting it out over the next 12 weeks.
Mm.
So to that point, if you don't see that there's going to be a potential area where you're going to run out of money, that could bankrupt you. And what I've seen it in my own businesses, the faster I grew, the faster I was consuming cash and I was scrambling
Yeah.
for cash and delaying vendor payments and, all of the mess that comes in there.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not only just looking at the numbers could say you're making great profits, but if you're not forecasting the cash, you could be in a world of hurt very, very quickly.
So how do you do that? How do you forecast correctly? And it sounds like you do it in 12-week sprints, so quarterly to do this, right? How do you coach them to forecast for their cash flow?
So it's taken me tens and tens of thousands of dollars of CPA consultants. And in the past, they were building, Excel worksheets that was like 12 tabs on the bottom. This one would talk to this one.
Yeah.
You'd have to plug in. I honed it, and it's just real simple. We have a process of taking your QuickBooks and we run some reports. We extract those numbers so that your admin or whoever's doing your bookkeeping could just plug in the numbers in the certain buckets of what came in last week,
Yeah.
what you collect on your invoices, what new deposits came in, what did we invoice for the future,
Mhm.
and then we go to cost of goods sold. What'd you pay your subs? What'd you pay your material?
Mhm.
And then your overhead. What'd we do in marketing? What'd we do in payroll? What'd we do in fleet? And so once we have this and we start building a history, two things. One, you kind of can now build the next 12 weeks because you have averages.
Yeah.
But specifically, now that you know what you're invoicing, we could plug in the future revenue that's coming in because we know that money's out on the street. You know that $400,000 job that you just finished is going to be collected in 60 days. We could put that down 8 weeks from now. And so now you're getting a week by week look. Do we have cash to sustain this? Or is it look like, hey, 8 weeks out, if we don't collect that 400,000, we're going to be, 100,000 negative.
Yeah.
So then they could start preparing for that, either trying to collect more money up front or start working with the bank for a line of credit or, other maneuvers that, sometimes you got to do.
Well, and it's better to be proactive, right, rather than reactive especially in a situation like that, right?
Yeah, it's what I teach the owners is that once you do that once a week, and it's usually a Monday that I teach, you and your staff, you do it, you look, everything's okay. This is the bills that I want paid. And then you look at it, you're done for the week on the financial side. So they're going to pay those bills. You got the money to pay it, or you have your marching orders. Hey, we can't pay anything until I collect $30,000 this week. And so now what's your main idea? You got to go out and collect the 30.
Love it.
So it gives them the working order or marching orders is what I meant to say of, hey, this is what the company needs to do this week in order for us to survive.
I was looking through your website, of course, before, this interview here, ran across a video that absolutely loved the 4 pillars, right? Is that something that you teach, to all of your coaching clients?
Absolutely. I mean, what ends up happening is most of the owners are taking over at least 2 or 3 of the pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a job, you're self-employed. You don't own a business here until you can figure out how to remove yourself from one of those pillars: production, sales, overseeing the marketing, the finance admin.
Yeah.
That's kind of an epiphany when they realize that. It's like, okay. And it's usually they know which one they like and which one they don't like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So then as soon as we know that, what's their strength? They're great at selling. Great. Boom. Who's going to be in production now? That we can start mentoring and hand that over to them.
And that really reminds me of, entrepreneurial operating system, right? Where they have you, line out.
Big fan. I'm a big fan.
They call it accountability chart, but your org chart, basically, right?
Exactly. Big fan of identifying that.
Awesome. Well, looking forward, do you see any industry trends in the roofing industry, and how should the owners be taking advantage of them?
So all of my very successful contractors, they're all on the cutting edge of technology. They have the best websites. They're understanding where SEO is. They're understanding the Google My Business algorithms and what to be there, using all of the cutting edge presentation proposals. They're
Yeah.
using when their salespeople are in the home, they're able to the sales manager is able to look of the presentation, what they're showing. They are staying on the stinking cutting edge of the adoption of technology.
Mhm.
So that was one of the success that I had with my dad. I was using a CRM and QuickBooks,
Mhm.
and he didn't even have knowledge of that. He was using the legal pad,
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
everything on there. A business owner like that is never going to compete with his competitor that is using any kind of that software. So it's not which one, it's all of them. It's,
Mhm.
from, I know you're an expert at this, of speed to lead. A lead
Yeah.
comes in. How are you communicating with them? How are you getting them onto the appointment? How fast are you getting them the proposal? How are you
Mhm.
following up on it? All of
Yeah.
these things can now be automated and streamlined and done so professionally that makes you
Yeah.
look like $1 million
Yeah.
versus any other methods.
Absolutely. And thinking about that, because I mean, we call a lot of roofing companies. Unfortunately, it's just the how it is, right? And we got a lot of people that come to us, right? But the thing that I see as the biggest issue in the roofing industry is just roofing companies just answering the phone, just
Yeah.
simply answering the phone. It's crazy to me, and I run across them sometimes where you can't even leave a voicemail because their inbox is full. And it just blows my mind. I'm like, hey,
There's so much low hanging fruit to help these owners.
yeah,
They're overwhelmed.
yeah.
They don't know. They don't know what they don't know.
You hit it right at the nail on the head there. They're overwhelmed, right? They're trying to do too much. Like you said earlier, they're fulfilling probably three of the four seats or probably all of the seats, at
Yep.
that low, beginning stages. You're fulfilling all of those seats, but you're being pulled in way too many directions. So
Even two of the seats is too many.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you're doing
I
all the
agree.
selling and all the production, that's just way too much.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as an entrepreneur, I've been there. I understand. I've done that myself, and you
Yeah,
have to
me
do
too.
that at the very beginning, you know, but the faster that you can buy someone to get into those seats, the better, right? It's a very good investment, in my opinion.
We're in total agreement. Those darn roofers.
Well, it's not just roofers, man. This is just an entrepreneurial problem, I think, in
Abs-
general.
Absolutely.
Um, we're going to take a pause here to listen to a message from our sponsor, roofingsites.com. Since 2018, roofingsites.com has helped roofers double their sales by getting their marketing right using the 4R roofing marketing system. If you're a roofing company owner wanting to grow your business, be sure to go to roofingsites.com and sign up for a roofing marketing strategy session with me. Okay, so that's going to take us into the lightning round, right? The lightning round has one simple rule. Basically, you have 1 minute or less to answer each question. You ready, Les?
I am ready.
Awesome. First question: what is your favorite personal hack? This can be a book, a podcast, whatever. Anything goes here. What is your favorite personal hack?
And it's what I teach almost immediately with an owner is using their calendar as their to-do list. So I
Yeah.
am a fanatic of Google Calendar, and you show me your calendar, I'll tell you what the problems are. So as a sports guy, you have to watch the film to know where you're missing tackles. I need to see your calendar, and I'll tell you exactly where you're missing the mark.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And I have a mentor coach that he calls it blocking and tackling, right? You block it out on your calendar and then you tackle it when it comes, so it's perfect for the
Love
sports
that.
terminology, right?
I'm going to
Block and
steal that.
tackle.
Tell
Yeah.
your coach I'm going to steal that. That's
Will
awesome.
do. And by the way, people look at my calendar and they go, "Holy cow!" Just because I mean, exactly what you said. Every task that I have is on the calendar. It is scheduled out, and I'm tackling it at that specific time. So,
People are very intimidated when they see my calendar because I have sometimes it down to 15-minute
yep,
blocks.
yep,
So yeah, it seems daunting, but it gets easier and easier over time. And the blessing
yeah,
of it is it becomes a journal for you to go back on in
yep,
prior years to just see where were you at in life,
yeah,
what were you working on. So it's incredible.
yeah, for sure. Okay, next question. What is your favorite business hack, book, or podcast?
So I love Strength Finders. And one of the game changers it has been for me and my employees is learning what our inherent strengths are. And Gallup has done an incredible job of doing an assessment. It comes free with the book,
Yeah.
and it will tell you what your top 5 strengths are. And that I consider that the biggest hack for me is because I know what my strengths are. And then when I'm doing anything that's in my weaknesses, I realize I'm going to set myself up for failure. So identify what your strengths are and then build your business, build your life where you're getting to be using those on a daily and weekly basis.
Love it. And what's interesting on that is that if you can find someone that their strengths complement your weaknesses, right? Then that's a perfect combination right there.
So great.
Awesome. So, Les, what is the best advice you've ever been given, and bonus points if you tell us how you actually applied it?
So to honor my father, he's since passed away about 16 years ago, but a lot of his, sentences or one-liners to me, always resonates. And even some of his handwritten notes that I kept have meant a lot to me. But one of him that he always used for me in sports, and then when we were doing business together, was that simple one that people have heard, but he would remind me, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah.
And so how I apply that is if I'm needing some revenue, I bet you I look in my revenue generating activities and I'm not working very hard. I'm hoping that this new funnel or this email campaign, I'm not doing the hard work, getting on the phone, calling a roofer up, doing the hard work. But once I get into the mode of I'm going to do the hard work, I start getting lucky. Things start running smoother. I start meeting the right person that can take me to the next step. Yeah. So that's my favorite one for business, and that's how I'm applying it.
Love it. Absolutely love it. The harder you work, the luckier you get. All right. So next question, Les. How can the Roofer Growth Hacks family get in touch with you, and how can we support you and encourage you moving forward?
Great question. I love what LinkedIn's doing, and I think there's a great community of roofers. Lou Coleman, who I sold O'Hara Sun Roofing to, does an incredible job of building community around his posts and his activities. And what I'm seeing is a real renaissance of contractors being on LinkedIn. So what I would suggest is jump on LinkedIn. If you're not, definitely do it. If you are already, look me up, Les O'Hara. Let's connect and tell me that you saw this podcast so I could give you a shout out. So I'd say meet with me there. I have a simple website, lesohara.com, that can kind of show all the little things that I'm doing. And then if you're a contractor, go to the contractorhuddle.com and see about our coaching. And if anything resonates with you, jump on a call and we'll walk through all of our coaching platforms.
Awesome. Well, you heard it right there, roofers. Get in touch with Les and get into his coaching program for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Les. I really, really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing just all this golden nuggets of wisdom and knowledge that you have here today with the podcast.
A true honor for me, Chris. Thanks.
Well, how about that, roofers? Was that pretty awesome or what? I know that I had a lot of value that I took away from Les. One of my biggest takeaways here is he said, find a mentor. That was one of his big things that he said that you need to do is find a mentor, someone who's been where you have been before and can help you kind of guide you to getting to that level. So if you're looking to get from $1 to $2 million, you want to have someone, in your circle, someone that you're talking with that has been there, that is probably at that $2 to $3 million range, somewhere who knows what you're going to step into, right? And to keep you away from that kind of stuff. So the other thing is that I loved his best advice, right? The harder you work, the luckier you get. But he said that if I look and anybody, if you look at the revenue generating things in your business and you look at your calendar, are you doing those revenue generation type things, And he said that you can look at anyone's calendar and pinpoint exactly what they are doing and not doing in their business to generate that revenue. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Roofer Growth Hacks. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you connect with Les online on LinkedIn, on his website at thecontractorhuddle.com, wherever. While you're there, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. Just do a search for Chris Hunter and roofing sites or Roofer Growth Hacks, and you should be able to find me. Look for me on Instagram or YouTube or pretty much anywhere and everywhere. We're going to be there, okay? You can also check out our website at roofingsites.com. And while you're there, listen to other previous episodes of Roofer Growth Hacks. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, roofingsites.com. Since 2018, roofingsites.com has helped roofers double their sales by getting their marketing right using the 4R roofing marketing system. If you're a roofing company owner wanting to grow your business, be sure to go to roofingsites.com and sign up for a roofing marketing strategy session with me. Also, this past year, I published my book, The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. If you're a roofing company owner and you don't have this book in your hand, I will send it to you for free. Just go to go.roofingsites.com and I'll send you a free copy of my book. Well, roofers, join me next time when we connect with another great roofing entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter. Thanks and gig 'em.